So hi everybody, and welcome to the August release party for the Fifth Wheel Press Laser Series chapbook project. We have got June Lin with us today. Sorry, I just got a text from June, and they've got some stuff going on. Hold on, just one moment. I'm gonna mute myself real quick. Right. Yeah, the 2022 Laser Series has published the work so far of, technically so far of four authors, because June Tarashi's book drops next week. But we have got June Lin here with us tonight. June should be joining us in just a little bit. And I'm going to read just one quick thing from Spectre Dust, so June doesn't have to go first. And I'll just head right into that reading, and I'll drop links for everybody as we're ready to go. Spectre Dust. When you're young, you learn object permanence once something disappears from view, but you know it still exists. It stops feeling like a blade through wraithly ribs when something goes away, and you no longer howl to heaven when you open your eyes in the morning and find yourself missing something vital. This could be because you'll eventually lose people far more often than things, and it won't seem like such a tragedy of cosmic proportion when you've misplaced anything you can replace. Moreover, one day you may find you've reached a point where there are things you once held dear that you'd rather see turn to dust before your eyes. You'd rather forget what you learned and loved in tandem, rather toss relics of heartbreak in a thrifted cigar box to quietly decompose. But even though you can't see it, the void you run from is sure as hell still there. So why not offer up the artifacts that tie you endlessly to the ghost of a goodbye that wouldn't have possibly happened how you wanted anyway? Why not sift the specter dust through loose and skeletal fingers and watch it fall to earth without you? All right. That out of the way, I'm just waiting on a message from June. But in the meantime, I'd love to introduce June Lin, who is the author of How to Construct a Breakup Poem, which came out this Monday, not last Monday. Sorry, weeks are a little, backwards these days. But I'm thrilled to introduce June. She's got a really kind of beautifully heartbreaking collection to share with us today.
Thank you. I love the description, beautifully heartbreaking. I feel like that really captures what I was going for. And Nat has heard this spiel before because it's similar to what I did at the last reading, but I'm going to introduce the chap a little bit. And then I'm going to read a little sampling of my favorite pieces from the chapbook. So How to Construct a Breakup Poem was mostly written, like I'd say maybe half of the poems were written in a very short amount of time during April of last year, because I was doing like an everyday poem challenge, and I really forced myself to draft a lot of poems without really thinking, like getting in my own head about them. And I really enjoy that because it's now looking at it feels like a time capsule of how I felt and some themes that I was really interested in exploring at the time. A lot of things that I was thinking about in terms of like wanting to be destroyed, finding it really beautiful, even though it's really painful, that kind of thing. A lot of very toxic preoccupations that looking back now, it's like very thematically cohesive to me because it was all written while I was thinking about the same things. But that gets really depressing. And so I've tried to order this chap to sort of progress towards a resolution or an escape, like the sense of moving on. And I did an interview with Aura, one of my good friends, the other day that where I discussed this. I like the idea of ending the chap on a poem that was more uplifting, and it was about moving towards a resolution, a goodbye. And so if you read the chap, look out for that. And because it's a time capsule, it's funny to me that like there's a poem called 2022 in the chapbook, and now it came out in 2022. I was sort of looking forward to what it would be like in this year, and it's like that's when the entire chapbook has debuted to sort of the world. I don't write as many prose pieces, for example, compared to the amount that are in this chapbook, but despite, the growth and the change since I've written it, I'm still really fond of the way that I feel like I can look at this and sort of capture exactly what I was feeling and what I was thinking about a year ago. So I'm going to start with the title poem, kind of a thesis statement. It's called How to Construct a Breakup Poem. Step 1. Gently ease the raw meat of your heart out of your chest cavity and plate it. Smear a spoonful of sauce along the edge. Put it on the windowsill, in the garage, by the front door, somewhere the reek of it will attract your predator prey, and wait for the boy to come at night, like a semi-feral cat, and drag it away. It will always be a boy because you don't know how to give the pieces of yourself to someone who looks too much like you, because when you see yourself in the mirror every morning, you get a little scared of who looks back. Step 2. Wait for it to hurt. We all have claws, all have teeth. We're just looking for someone to use them on, and you've already made yourself the offering. Sit on the front porch and watch your boy hold your own heart up to your face as if asking for permission. Do not nod. You don't need to. You can curl your toes inside your dirty white sneakers when he bites, but you can't make a sound. When you go back inside and smile at your mother, you'll notice a spot of blood on your shoes that you scrub and scrub for hours the next day. Summer sun baking your open, untouched back. Step 3. Do it again, and again, and again. Every day another morsel for him to feed on. Every day another blood stain you try to hide. You want to be devoured as badly as he wants to be full, but neither of you can commit to it. He doesn't need to come around anymore, and you don't need to wait for him on the porch, but there's something you like about the way his teeth sink into your body, the way he leaves looking like a child in a strawberry field, and not an animal you can't control. It's a writing prompt, it's an anecdote, it's a story you get to color all the sad indie songs with as you wander around the wetlands in your dirty shoes. Step 4. The pieces of the poem will appear to you like stones on a beach. You pick one up in the shower, another from the riverbank, a third in the creaky drawer of your desk. You roll the words around in your mouth, murmur them as you wash your face, chant them at the ducks and watch them fly away. There's no need to push it. One night you'll sit upright in bed and the lines will fit together in front of you like a winning chess game. Till then, you collect the pieces of it all, dust and moss and granite, and wait. Step 5. Here, the line about his shoes. At the top, something he said to you that you wrote down the moment he hung up. Add a snide remark near the end about his choice of keyboard, his glasses, his girl of the month, his handwriting, his smile. Reference a moment nobody else witnessed. Hack a corner off the Polaroids and paste it in as metaphor. Turn the details into symbolism. Paper trains on a desk, now a desire for escape. Broken earbuds, now foreshadowing for how it'll end. A poem is just an emotional x-ray, and you're about to make the world your doctor. Step 6. Print the poem. Hold the fresh sheet and try to take the heat into your thawing hands. Put it down on the dining room table, fold it down the middle again and again. What is all this but ink on a page? A funky pattern for your new paper airplane. Wrench the window handle so hard the ice sealing it closed cracks open. Drop the page out the window and watch the wind carry it away to someone who will want to read it. Step 7. Slice your chest open and do it again. So that was how to construct a breakup poem. I placed it at the start of the book as a kind of joking way to say, like, hey, this is really angsty and self-involved, but I'm also not exempt. I think a lot of this trap is about the idea of constructing that narrative, a performance of it in a sense, while also, knowing that a lot of these feelings are very real and very valid. And so I put at the start to kind of put that idea in people's heads as they're reading. The next piece is a shorter prose piece called Poem is Every Mistake I Made for You. Shook myself awake with anxiety at 6 a.m. for you, stained the shower walls with my own trauma for you, stopped eating for you, lost weight for you, lived and died and blinked for your approval, wrote notes app essays about why I was breaking in your hands and deleted them in the morning because it wasn't worth making you mad again. Learned to fill silences with expressions of love, hoping it would buy my way out. It didn't. Wanted people to be scared, but mostly wanted you to be. Wanted someone to say, I'm worried about her, under their breath. I mean something when people pay enough attention to see you falling apart, but I'm not quite sure what to make of it yet. Sometimes you would try to save me from yourself, and I'd almost be grateful to have you. So the next poem is a little nicer, a little more tender. It's also a little longer, It's called Winter Song, and I think it's one of the few like very sweet, very tender pieces in this chapter. The snow is shy this year. It's here in the morning and melted by afternoon, a winter that's wet patches of pavement and choking yellowed grass instead of great mountains of ice and flimsy toboggans on backyard hills. We only talk in the winter and this one doesn't want to stay, so we place messages on doorsteps in the morning and leave them unopened for days. I say, have you changed your shoes yet? Are you still wearing your beat-up orange sneakers because I'm not sure when to retire mine for boots? Which jacket are you wearing? Is it the one you had last year, the black one with the fur hood so thick between my fingers it felt like a pillow, or did you get a new one? I say, it's hard to know when to change. It's been 17 years and I'm still trying to figure it out. It's better to wait until your indecision has grown fangs and is breathing down your neck the way I always let it. I say, I already know what you're going to tell me. I write, I still won't listen, and lemon juice. I wonder if you'll smile. 2 weeks and a dribble of snow later, there's meltwater running off the eaves into my waiting mouth and another purple envelope on your welcome mat. This time, it's, do you remember that blizzard last March? The one I braved to walk up your freshly shoveled driveway with my soaking boots and bits of ice melting in my hair. Remember how your eyes crinkled and you told me to brush it out? Did you want to kiss me? When I was sitting on your couch in your clothes, watching Mulan on DVD, burning popcorn in your microwave, looking at you in the glass. Did you want it? Did you want anything I had? I wish I had stayed instead of walking back home in the snow. I wish you had followed me instead of staring at my footprints. I'm making so many wishes I'm gonna run out of eyelashes. Maybe I'll use snowflakes as dandelion seeds, close my eyes and blow them away before they can melt in my hand. You drop a letter on my windowsill, but I don't read it, and the blackbirds mistake it for food. I want to tell them that they can't live off your words, that I've tried and come out hollow and hungry and hurting. But how can an animal made of empty bones see hollowness as pain? The blackbirds wing across the sky, and the days pass, and I wait for the snow to come back so I can write you letters I know you won't read. I'm thinking, you told me last year you'd teach me how to climb rooftops, and I'm still waiting for you to come, but I know you never will. I'm thinking, our hands, black ice, my winter tires with the snowflakes on them. Thinking about the slide beneath the snow and how you fell on your tailbone, the sweep of your eyelashes against your cheeks as you laughed. I don't say it. This time I say, do you remember at recess we weren't allowed to throw snowballs because they might have ice in them? I say, snow and ice are just the same thing in different states, the same particles vibrating at different speeds. They're dangerous because they're not dancing together the way snowflakes do under streetlights. I say, I wish we were snowflakes under a streetlight. I say, I miss you. I miss throwing snowballs. I say, I'd let you hit me in the head with one. Ice and all. Any day of the week. This letter I leave under the snow covering your porch railing. Maybe in the spring when it all melts, you'll find the soggy mess of it and wonder what I said. So that's Winter Song. Next, I have a shorter piece called Here's What I Remember. It's a lot sadder, and it's basically a list poem. So here's what I remember. The elephant skin of your elbow against my mouth, the way we'd fall asleep curled together like worms. The afternoon I spent in the parking lot, stabbing myself in the thigh with my keys, waiting for something to register. Missing you like teeth. Missing you like walking past an acquaintance and then wondering if maybe you should have stopped. But now it's too late to do it without looking ridiculous, so you don't. So you keep walking and you don't look back. The sinews of your soul, what holds you together, what's hardest to chew. Your sister's birthday, your brother's hat. There's so many things I don't want to remember anymore. Okay, so the next piece that I have is a bit of a longer title. It's called The Prefrontal Cortex Skips a Step in the Algorithm. This one was inspired actually by the prompt glitch, and then I sort of built on there to make it into like mistakes, skipping a step in the algorithm in the sense that, you know, your brain is a bit like a computer, except it doesn't work nearly as well. So, glitch in the system. Glitch like skipping my breakfast, like eating bananas to drop my sunken blood pressure. Glitch like saying fuck you instead of love you. Like circling your block instead of walking back to the car. All these little mistakes. These new sneakers in spring mud. These nights falling asleep with messages open on my phone. These salt instead of sugar afternoons. I am a war, and I am the general using it to advance her career. I am a knife, and I am the tofu underneath, trembling when touched, splitting apart at the slightest pressure. I only call you when I'm sad, and you never make it better, but I can't stop wanting you to, can't stop giving you chances. The prefrontal cortex is supposed to weigh risks and rewards, decide whether something is worth doing, like jaywalking, or biking without a helmet, or apologizing to you for a fight I didn't start. You can tell it's underdeveloped in the teenage brain because you've set me on fire, held me underwater, buried me alive, and slammed my head against a wall, but I keep asking myself if maybe the punch will be a caress this time. I'd love to believe in myself as much as I believed in your inherent capacity for redemption, but in my mind, as in life, the man gets the second chances, and the girl, dead, never even gets to grow up. So most of these are from the second half of my chapbook now, as we move towards the end of the pieces I had selected. This one is called Waking Fears. I had a nightmare last night where I was shot and you were the bullet. I was a war and you were the trenches. My greatest nightmare is still that there will never be enough for us to survive on here. Never enough love, that I will always be left swallowing stones and nettles in the hopes of being full. That I will never know how to take care of you when you are sad, and you will never want to try for me. These days I wake up already shaking. I used to startle when my phone vibrated, once injured bird fearing the twang of the bow. My second greatest nightmare is probably sitting next to you and being utterly alone, which is why I don't sit next to you anymore. So the last two poems that I'm going to read are both a little bit more moving towards a resolution, moving towards an escape, and out of that extremely angsty, extremely dead feeling of despair. This one's called And Somehow I Still Do. Good morning, sky-swallowing loneliness. Good morning, kirk in my neck that hasn't gone away for weeks. I woke up crying at 6:30 before I even realized who I had dreamed about. It's you. It's always you. Your back told me sometime between midnight and 6 that it had never broken for anyone. Your knees said they had never kissed the ground. Last night I dreamed you made me the roadkill under your white Subaru, and this morning, gasping, I tried to catch my breath as you said, you can just say you want things, you know? You only call me baby like you're throwing a punch. Only call me when you need someone to sit there and take it because you know I'd beg you to do it again. But who doesn't have a list of crazy things they've done for happiness, theirs or another's? I guess I just thought you'd love me in the end. And my final poem is also the final poem from the chapbook itself. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the piece that I discussed with Aura in my interview earlier this week, or maybe last week, when she asked me to pick one of my favorites from the chapbook. And my favorite part of this piece is that it's a little more mature, that it's open to the idea of sharing blame, that it's open to the idea of moving on, and sort of, that shrug and I guess I have to let this go even if I didn't get the closure that I needed idea of it all. So this one's called Pink Moon. Love, there is nothing more beautiful than the world that lets you keep breathing. Lately I've been thinking about loss, about the morning I cried until my chest hurt, about the afternoon I crouched on the riverbank and, fingers outstretched, just barely missed the water. I could blame you for all the mistakes, sometimes still want to, but I'm not sure that's fair tonight. There's a pink moon pulling up to its celestial parking spot, but it's not pink at all. Just rounded white, like every other full moon, every other month. If I let my eyes blur enough, I can almost convince myself it really is pink, the same way I could almost convince myself you wouldn't let me down when I asked to be held. The radius of my mind extends about as far as the fence of my backyard. Last night I told you I was an indoor dog, but I meant bitch. Meant your bitch. Meant you could kick me and I'd roll over for you and you fucking know it. Still, we wait. Still, the sharp air of a thawing Canadian winter scrapes my lungs clean. Tomorrow morning I will roll over to meet the moon, not your face, and wave goodbye as I pull on my jeans. So yeah, those are all the poems that I had prepared today. I hope you enjoyed reading them, and if you want to see them properly for yourself, My chap is now available on the Fifth Wheel Press website. Thank you for the link.
I'm dropping the PDF real quick too, because I want everybody to read this book. So June reached out to me and let me know that unfortunately there are some extenuating circumstances. He's not going to be able to make it today. So do stay tuned, because I think he does still want to do some kind of release. And trust me, you want to hear June read these poems. They're, like, absolutely beautiful. So thank you all for coming out today, and please do take a look at our August chapbooks. All of our chapbooks are anthologies. We've done some really great stuff and put some really cool and amazing writers out recently. So thanks for coming today.